G'day folks. Well, I went to the dyno on Tuesday, so today's Saturday, and it was, look, I'm not going to apologise guys for filming because I didn't get any footage, so I'm not going to apologise for it. To be honest, I probably need someone else doing the filming for me down there. The short amount of time that I'm allowed to do what I've got to do is really only a couple of hours at max. And when you're pulling the carby off, well, I ended up pulling it off 4 times. It just doesn't allow for any footage, and my mind is just so focused on trying to get it right and taking advantage of the short amount of time. Well, I can confirm, guys, that I've sorted the air fuel on 7 pounds of boost. Of course, I went down with the vent tube extensions, and I left the 84 front jets and the 96 rear jets in, and I just wanted to see what difference or how it reacted with the vent tube extensions. Well, it made a fairly big difference. We were getting a reading of around 0.9. And you've got to remember, that was, when I ran those without the vent tube extensions, we were nearly stoich with that jetting. So that's brought it down a considerable amount. So the next thing I did was pull the car back off and put 100 jets in. Try that. Did a run, and it went down to around sort of 8.3, this is on Lambda guys, 0.8384, which was a pretty good improvement from sort of 0.9, fair jump. And really had to, to get this right on 7 pound, we really had to get down into sort of the mid sevens, like 0.75-ish. Sort of mark to get the correct fuel ratio. So what I did, I ended up putting 91 jet in the front, 100 jet in the rear, and I tried that. It made it too rich too soon. So it did sort of help up top, but it sort of bogged a bit. It was too much, too fat, too soon. So I ended up pulling the car back off again, and what do we do? Put the 84s back in, and I ended up pulling the jets out of the rear. So no jet at all. And put it back on, tried it, bang, fixed. We had beautiful 0.75 and a really nice linear fuel curve. So as it was coming on, it was fattening up beautifully. So that's made a big, big difference, guys, those vent tube extensions. Now, I did have a little run on, I think it was 13 pound. I gave it a little test hit. I hadn't touched the timing. It was still on 20 degrees. And I just wanted to see how it sort of reacted with the fueling. And I did a little hit to 5,000 revs. And it sort of went up to 0.80 or 80 on the Lambda. So it did go a little bit lean, but not what I would call dangerously lean, on around sort of 12, 13 pound. I never had a chance, guys, to touch the timing when I sort of went back to 7 pound and fiddle around. It just actually forgot it, because by that time, when I had fluffed around with the carby and had it off multiple times, I just ran out of time. I have still got a slight stumble up top. Now, it wasn't until further investigation, guys, when I got home, I'm 99.999% confident with the problem. I pulled the plugs. I've been talking to George, and we got learning up again on it on the E85. I sort of dived real deep on it. I did have 28 thousandths plug gap on my plugs, I run an NGK, or NGK I think it is, and there are 7 on the heat range. But when I pulled them out, I noticed that 3 of the plugs had a 35 thousandths gap. I don't know how in the world I ended up managing that. Because I originally did have 35 thousandths, and I've got a funny feeling I never ended up checking those and gapping them down to 28 thousandths. So that was my fault. Well, now guys, I've gone back. Well, they say after learning and diving in, a lot of the guys on E85 with the similar boost compression ratios are running around sort of 20 to 24 thousandths. It just gives the chance for the spark to jump now and bridge, and because you're running, well, as far as I'm aware of, E85 is a little bit lazy to burn. It takes a fair spark to ignite it, and running that extra gap is just going to wash it out. So now I'm back to 24 thousandths. And I'll tell you what guys, it's made a huge difference on startup. It's made a big difference on throttle response. So I'm really excited to test this tomorrow. I'm heading down for a club day, and to see how it is up top. I'm very confident that I've fixed it. Now, George, can you comment, mate, and elaborate on the carb, the next move that we're going to do to this carb, so I can dive into the higher boost levels? Now, George is thinking that some of the air bleeds up top need to be slightly smaller. He's got some other little ideas on some air bleeds behind the power valve on the primaries. Just elaborate on that and let everyone know that what your intentions are to try and enrich, well, get this circuit a little bit more rich and improve on it so I can run sort of 12, 13 pound confidently. What I've done, now that I'm not running any jet, I actually had some really small jets. I think I had a 69. I drilled them out. So I've got the jet back in, but it's oversized to what the actual extension is running into the metering blocks. I've measured those jet extensions and they're 140 thou. And I ended up drilling a 3.5mm drill bit, I think it was. Oh no, anyway, I've gone a lot bigger than what the actual vent tube is. Not that, on the vent extension. Sorry, I got a bit tongue twisted there. On the vent extensions. The vent. Sorry, I'm I've lost the plot here. The jet extensions, not the vent extensions, the jet extensions. So we've got a jet back in, so we can extend it back a little bit, so we can pick the fuel up, if you understand what I mean, on that side of it. So with that done, I'm going to test it tomorrow and see how we go. So I'm very, very keen on it. One other note, guys, I didn't mention was on my fuel bowls. I wanted to see that under boost or under power, that how the level was coping, you know, not dropping away and leaning out that way. I can confirm it does drop down to the bottom of where the sight glass is, but once boost starts to build, it recovers very quick. So it's only a second or two where it sort of that initial where it drops away a fraction and then it recovers, and once it's under full boost, it's fine. And the rears are perfect, and very happy there. So the fuel delivery out of the reg to the carb and into the bowls is very adequate. So yes, never touched timing, guys. Like I said, I just never had time. I forgot completely all about it. I want to sort of play around with it. Once I get a feel for the power level at this stage, go up a couple of degrees and see if it makes any difference. See if I can actually feel the power increase. Because now that I got the fueling right, guys, I actually lost a bit of power down there. So it's telling me the timing's way off. So I think I might just fiddle around with that on the track, and we'll go from there. All right, guys. Well, I've got my wing done. I finally got it all painted up and fitted off again. Very happy with it. Looks incredible. In my opinion, I love it. I think it's got that real old school muscle NASCAR look. I think it looks awesome. They do come out with a spoiler factory, or it's an option. Little fiberglass one, but I think it's only sort of 3/4 the height and nowhere near the rake of this wing. This is 70 degrees, so this is what NASCAR runs, so I thought, why not? I've got the power to push through it. I don't think it's going to hold the car back much, but I'm really excited. Another little quick note before I go, guys. You know how I was telling you I had that oil leak out of the rear main seal? Well, I'm quietly confident that it's looking like it wasn't that at all. Because when I came back from the dyno, I ended up having a fairly reasonable leak at the front of the oil pan. And I got my 3/8 sockets under there, because I think there's, well, I'll show you. So I'm running a cork gasket at the minute, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We've got 2 half-inch bolts, so we've got 16 bolts holding the pan down. Well, I run a cork gasket, and I had a leak just below the oil pump, right out of the corner here. It was just drip, 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 while the motor was sort of idling. And I had which I thought was a pan leak, not a pan leak, a rear main seal leak, but they were all finger tight, guys. All the bolts were finger tight. So I've gone and nipped them right up, right around. It was a pain in the backside to do it. And now I've got no leak in the back, and obviously taken that leak up there, and I've had the car running for a while now, and there's no visible sign of any leakage coming out. It always used to just drip occasionally out of the rear main while it was idling away. So I can't see any leak at the minute. Quietly confident I may have fixed it. But next time, guys, when I do, or if I do this one, ever put a sump on it, you can get a rubber one piece for them. So, because I run a rubber valve cover gasket, and I've had that probably longer than 15 years, and they're awesome. There are no leaks whatsoever. So hopefully, with a decent rubber gasket around it, they won't loosen up, because I think the cork has shrunk, and over time it sort of gets a little bit brittle, and obviously, you loosen the bolts when it shrinks away, and a little bit of pressure in the engine from the crankcase pressure, and oil will find its way out. So very interesting. All right, guys, well, I'll have some footage in the next few days from the track. Get that GoPro in there, and fun times ahead. I think she's going to go really well, guys. Oh, I can't wait. Oh, God, I'm hanging out for this. I'm just so thrilled. All right, guys, well, I'll pop one up when I have my track day, and hopefully everything works out good, and I enjoy the day. All right, folks. Till then, catch yous later.